Hello, hello. Tell us into the mic your name.
Hi guys, Mohammed here.
Mohammed is someone who's extraordinarily promising. Are you ready to give us your 1 minute?
Pressure's on,
Super
Mohammed.
excited, been waiting for it.
Awesome. Go ahead, you have a minute.
All
Tell
right,
us.
awesome. So again, Mohammed here, super passionate about space, and I've always wanted to go to space. So I joined NASA Space Academy, where I led a team of 16 scientists and engineers to build a mission concept of Mars rover. Through that experience, I learned that space radiation causes satellites to fail. 38% satellites fail annually due to space radiation, and astronauts double their chances of getting cancer in space due to space radiation. So that impacts the mission duration, and it also impacts the revenue from the satellites. So let's suppose you're an operator, you would lose a lot of money. So today's industry standard is aluminum, which adds millions of dollars to launch costs, and the material decays 3 to 5% every year. We're becoming a spacefaring civilization, and we're going back to the moon. So me and my co-founder at Melogen Labs decided to make a space shield. We developed a proprietary
That's
composite.
a minute. There's so much more, but let's give you a round of applause.
Yeah.
Let's hear the close of that pitch.
Yeah, so we developed a proprietary composite, which is 2.75 times lighter. That means our customers save 63% of launch cost and 10% from total launch costs. So 63% on chilling launch costs and 10% of launch costs and 5% on total fuel costs.
How old do you think Mohammed is?
I don't know. Don't do this to me, dude.
Fine. Mohammed,
You can take a guess.
No, I'm not. I take the fifth.
Okay. Tell the crowd how old you are, Mohammed.
Yeah, I'm 18 years old.
Get the.
And for the company, it's something that, I'm really worried about. People would take, would just rule us out.
It's a feature, not a bug.
But
feature, not a bug.
Yeah.
Say it.
So
Yes, it's a feature, not a bug.
We have the capabilities. I went through a very intensive accelerator program, TKS. It equipped me with the skills and mindsets to take on this big venture. And now we're building a potential billion-dollar company, and we have LOIs already. So our product is already validated.
So you need to say that. I'm 18. I have LOIs. The aggregate LOIs are what's the aggregate value of the LOIs?
So we haven't mentioned the values, but we're looking at how we're going to collaborate.
Give me a number. I mean, you have an idea of what they would be, and like t-shirt size
or a project definition. I think right. If you could say like, here's what the LOI is for, if there isn't a number.
Typical
attached.
range. I mean, like, look, the companies you're buying with have established procurement processes, correct?
Yes. Yeah.
There's established competitor and a fair market value associated with the solution, right?
Yes.
What's the solution of that? What's the sum of those contracts?
Yeah, I would definitely work on that.
Yeah, and so I think those are like, for you just say, I'm 18. I've dreamed of space my whole life. This is a problem I've seen. I've built this. It is better. Other people are missing out on the cost. And by the way, I'm just going to say, XLOIs, we're not going to run the table, but if we did, we ran the table, it's $126 million of revenue in the next 12 months.
Yeah.
Okay. You have my attention. Again, this is the theme for tonight. And I know when you had Jenny, I was like, theme, take credit for the work you've done as founders. Your work is amazing in such a ridiculous. I have an 18-year-old. Sean, if you're listening, bro.
You just made family members.
I mean, this is my thing to founders. Take credit for the work you've done. You don't have to put it in our parlance and all this like fancy, like just take credit, tell your story, own it. It's amazing. I mean, like I wish I had a more elegant way of saying it, but that's my feedback to you.
Yeah, definitely got it.
So how have you tested some of are these actuals or simulations, and then what does that look like in terms of getting into market either through government contracts or other satellite providers that are putting satellites into orbit?
Yeah, great question. So we tested it in-house. against cesium-137. It's a radiation isotope used a lot in the industry for space to test materials against radiation. And through those, we were able to match the efficacy to industry standards. And we've got validations from actual customers. For example, we've been working closely with senior systems engineer at Redfire Space. And we've learned that to have a strong foot in the market, we need to match the efficacy to aluminum, so industry standards, but also prove the viability and reliability of the material over the lifetime. So based on our proof of concept, we've proved that, but not that, we're also exceeding expectations and helping our customers save on launch costs and give them mass relief.
Why was this missed for so long when there's so many dollars attached to it and frankly lives as well?
When I studied radiation shielding, I spent 5 months, and during that time I was talking with material scientists, radiation engineers at NASA. So we were doing a lot of that cold outreach to learn about the basics of the problem, and we went against the unknowns and we did the first principles. So because of having those conversations and hands-on projects, we were able to figure out a potential solution, and we tested it, and it came out to be better than what we expected. And there are a lot of other competitors. For example, just to name one, a Cosmic Radiation Shielding Corporation. Their material name is Plasteel. They've developed some other type of composite, but we're still better than them. If you want to send 1 kg to space, that would cost you around 15,000 if you want to use aluminum. But if you use Cosmic Radiation Shielding's product, that would cost you around 10,000. But if you want to use our, that would only cost you $9,000. So for $15,000, you're looking at sending around 2 kilograms for the same amount.
Gotcha. I mean, so again, I am like part of being investors to know where you have asymmetric edge, and I have positively zero on this. However, some things I would think through to you is, and other people in the room is, being able to explain some of the things when you're not in the same pocket, so that I can effectively refer you, is something to think through, and giving me tropes and memes and things to understand. You know, what I heard from that discussion about your competitive landscape is that it has to mimic aluminum. Your cost basis is better, and I need to understand and tuck into that a little bit more. And when I refer that to another investor, they'll be like, "Oh, well, do you know if it's this type of fabrication or that?" And I'm like, "I will not." So just understand sometimes when you talk to that your objective may be different based on where they're. Now, if I were a deep space investor, and there are a couple that I'm attached to, and hopefully some are LPs in my fund, that would be useful. And so just know that you're packaging for transference necessarily than trying to probably close me, because I'm definitely not the right investor. And that's part of something to know as you approach different pitches in the world.
Massive improvement over last week. Great job. Last week was a lot of vision. And this time, though, he did not have to ask you the questions I asked you, if you remember, right? Like, so the first time he gave this pitch, it was a lot about radiation, and I wasn't sure, okay, what does this composite do exactly? What does a shield mean? Is this an astronaut suit? This time we didn't get those questions, right? So your clarity has dramatically improved. But, you know, the whole concept of your pitch is on exactly what Mike's talking about, which is, what are all of the impressive things, your understanding of the space? You're going to always beat the other person unless they're already an investor in the space on understanding. Your time to being a founder of impact, right? Like, you've achieved a tremendous amount. And that is a feature, not a bug, of your story. The ability that you have to have some of these relationships, probably because of these programs you've been part of, you're gaining access to rooms that other people probably would struggle to, and you're using it well.
Right.
So all of those being either an addendum right after a pitch, it doesn't need to be part of the 1 minute, maybe some of it does need to be like, I forced you to say your age because I think that has to be part of it, right? You are doing so much so early, but I also think it answers some of his initial back and forth with you was about why has no one else tried this? And I think part of the reason is like, who's the other person? It's like a 47-year-old who's like not thinking about materials because they're kind of over that part of their career, whereas you're like,
yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, I definitely agree with that point. And I was at a conference where I got the opportunity to moderate panels. It was one of the biggest space tech conference in Long Beach, California, 3 weeks ago. And all of the companies presenting there were just led by, of course, experienced people, but I didn't see any young people there.
Yep.
And I want to be the one to replace it. And I have the ideas that those people haven't thought about it. And why? Because
they're
they
busy
don't want
in
to
some
change.
way, by the way.
They don't want to change,
Yeah, there's that. But by the way,
Yeah.
the other thing you can say, because I think you might not want to offend, I don't think the two of us would get offended, for example, if you said, what am I, 33 or something? I don't know. But like if you said, oh, like these sorts of people are tired or bored or not innovative, you don't need to say that. You just need to say they're kind of busy with the projects they're on. They have a salary to achieve an objective, whereas I'm imagining still, right? And so one of the things I imagined and then tested is, hey, could this be better on cost and weight? And could this be better on radiation protection? And I tested it, and guess what it is? And I think this is a huge opportunity because as my generation grows up, we're going to be in space.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's just such a compelling story.
Again, I don't know if this is a narrative, but just as like the industrialization of space has led to incremental change. That is why we are where we're space travel for the last 3 decades. And you know what? Those people that are currently making these decisions were me 30 years ago. I'm this now. They're thinking about the next 3%. I'm thinking about this. And there hasn't been any change in space. And if you don't believe me, you can look at the last panel I moderated in Long Beach. Okay, I believe it because I know some of those people like who have those, jobs at aerospace companies and go like, yep, yeah, that checks out. I believe that. Great job. Sean, if you're watching, you got to do some stuff. Stop playing Valorant. I was working at American Eagle selling clothes, teaching tennis, and that's what I did at 18. I thought it was pretty productive.
No,
Good
Mohammed puts us
God.
to shame. Good job. Well done.